Hello, fans. I am the commissioner of Emerge. My name is Christopher Lowe. Thanks for joining me for the Emerge 25 Grave Danger card reveal. First off, we're going to go through the results of Emerge 24 payoff. Just real quickly, in our Copies and More Facebook Live match, Luke Lawson defeated Aaron Anarchy. It was a really great show match, and if you weren't there and you get to see it live or on Facebook, you really missed out. Trevor Court defeated Mark Vandy. Jacob Johns defeated Justin Myers. Justin Myers, kid's got guts. That's all I can say about that. BAD retained the Emerge Tag Team Championship against Pretty Perfect. That led to the seemingly dissolution of the of Pretty Perfect as Jordan Cage attacked his former partner, Austin Tyler Morris. Scotty Young defeated newcomers Chris Silvio and Nate Wings. It was an awesome three-way. Sage Phillips, Cole Radrick, and Jeremy Hadley, the original Hellfire Club, defeated the Hellfire Club 2.0 after Johnny Stratland took the high road. Lennox Norris defeated Poison, Apollo Star, and our main event, the main attraction, Donnie Idol, lost the Emerge Outbreak Championship to the man without fear, Kyle Maverick. We've got a lot to talk about. I know most of you have tuned in obviously to hear more about the Donnie Idol situation. With that, I'm going to welcome Head of Production, Casey Johnston.
How you doing, Chris?
Pretty good, how are you?
Well, I mean, you well know it's been a difficult week and a half for all of us, and we are about to discuss exactly why. It's the worst thing that I've ever seen at a wrestling show. It's the worst thing I've ever had the displeasure of unfortunately being involved with. Of course,
Yeah, you were front and center.
Yeah, for the whole thing. And of course, with my commentary partner A.W. Lurch, who will join us in a bit, we were about to call the action. We were looking forward to a good match. Of course, Donnie was not even medically cleared to compete before the match.
Right.
If only we knew how the rest of the night was going to go for him. But somebody runs out of the back. I mean, hooded, fairly average build, still no idea who in the world this guy was.
Right.
And he attacked Donnie. My gut instinct is, at this point, that Kyle Maverick hired somebody to take out Donnie before the match to make it easier on him.
I spoke with Kyle afterwards, and he was pretty adamant that he had nothing to do with it, and my gut instinct leads me to believe him, but the investigation.
For me, the thing that makes me kind of think it wasn't Kyle is that afterwards, whoever this guy was came back.
Right.
And he wrapped a chair around Donnie Idol's head and proceeded to break Donnie Idol's neck. Took another chair, hit him with it multiple times, came off the top rope, and crushed him. Ran out. There was a car waiting on him. They peeled out. And again, if you haven't seen any of the statements by Donnie or any of us, Donnie has a crushed windpipe, and he has what's called a hangman's fracture. This basically usually happens. The most popular sport you'll see it in is football,
right,
where somebody tries to go for a tackle and their neck creaks back. The chair caused that same fracture, and Donnie's C2 is cracked pretty severely. And
whoever did it knew what they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're going, from what we understand from Donnie's doctor, he's going to be out for at least a year if he even is able to return. I'm not here to be the guy that casts doubt, but, we all read Donnie's statement, and he said he'll come back come hell or high water, and I believe that he believes that. But as Donnie's friend and as somebody who's close to the situation, that is an optimistic thought. And Chris, I understand we're currently trying to figure out who did this.
Right. But before we get into that, you mentioned being optimistic, having an optimistic outlook on Donnie Idle's return. I put out a statement shortly after the incident. I truly feel I am somewhat responsible for what happened to Donnie Idle. Casey mentioned it. Donnie was not anywhere near 100% going into this match. If anything, I've learned since taking this gig, I have to be more assertive in protecting some guys because guys like Donnie, they're not going to say no to a fight.
And how long have you been friends with Donnie now?
Years.
Shoot, over a decade now, and it's really hard to say no to your friend.
But no more. If guys aren't willing to protect themselves, I'm going to do it for them. Friendships be damned. I got to do what I got to do. And I got to do what's best for the Emerge fans, for the Emerge product. But yeah, going into the investigation, the guy was dressed head to toe in
I put out the call to see if Ricky had anything to say, and he didn't ever tell me whether or not he was going to be here, but
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad and I know you have a lot on your mind, so I'm not gonna try to get in your way. You can go ahead and
honestly, I wasn't going to be here. Like I said, I got a lot on my mind right now. But it's funny you brought up an investigation. What do psychopaths and serial killers do after they commit a crime? They go back to what they did. They like to revel in it. So I figured, whoever did this, they're watching right now. I'm sure of it. They knew you guys were going to talk about it. They knew it was going to be the big topic. So I figured, you know what? I know I got something to say to you. So what better place to do it? Because I know if I challenge you out to a fight in the street somewhere, I guarantee you're not going to show up. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm assuming you're a man. You look like a guy underneath all the clothes, the mask, and all that. So if you're a man, October 7th, everyone knows where I'm going to be. You guys know where I'm going to be? I'm going to be in Columbus, Indiana, at Parkside. Grave danger. I'm going to be there. Now, see, I've been trying to stay in the back, do my thing back there, let the new generation get out there and do their thing. But sometimes things happen to get out of my control and make me have to come out and do what I don't want to have to do. Chris Lowe, you said something about a lawsuit last time. I don't give a damn about no lawsuit right now. I really don't. That's why I said we could do it in the street, but I know you won't. Hang on. So, and now we can do it at Parkside. We don't have to do it in the ring. We can go outside somewhere, but you know where the building is, obviously. You send a goon in there. So if you want to meet me out there, you go ahead. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to let you in on a little something. When I go through that curtain and the crowd goes crazy for me, chant for me, they buy up all my stuff, I'm really popular. The reason I'm popular is because I'm good at what I do. But don't get it twisted. I'm not popular because I'm a good guy. All right? And you're about to find out what kind of asshole I can be. You know what? And if you guys want to go ahead and turn down the live stream, shut it off, I don't care. You're going to find out you messed with the wrong guy. Since you said maybe a year, I was there when we went there. The doctor pulled me aside. He told me he's very lucky to be getting out of the hospital within months. The only reason he's walking around is because he's Donnie Idle. But he's probably never going to wrestle again. He ain't going to say it. But the doctor basically told me that. And everyone knows if anyone believes in Donnie Idle, it's me. So I'll tell you what. If he doesn't ever get to wrestle again, guess what? You're not going to get to walk again. Maybe not even get to breathe again. If you show up, which we both know you won't.
Okay, first off, I agree with Rick. Whoever did this is watching. If you truly want to meet Rick, contact the office. You don't have to give me a name. I will set up a match in the ring. Okay, well, I can't have any stuff in the parking lot or in the building. I just can't have it. But you are more. I will make a spot on this card for you. That's all.
Well, and all things considered, and even I think we're all kind of shocked a little bit at some of the things that Ricky just said, but he and Donnie have been running the same circles now for 17, 18 years. That's Donnie's his brother.
Yep.
And October 7th.
I get why he's upset, but
All
we got to do it the right
I can
way.
tell you is if Ricky asked me to put his entrance music at the start of the show, I'm going to put his entrance music at the start of the show. And if he wants to call out whoever did this, then I'm sure he will. So we'll see. That being said, on the other side of this situation, and somebody was telling me the other day, it almost seems like the Outbreak Championship is cursed.
Yeah.
But on the other side of this situation, we had actually a fairly serious incident happen with Kyle Maverick. And before we get to that, and before we make any announcements, I want to go ahead and welcome in my broadcast colleague, A.W. Lurch. And I guess, it doesn't fit as much in the format, but Lurch, what is your reaction to whatever just happened, and what happened with Donnie? I haven't really had the chance to talk to you much since the chaos broke out.
We were sitting there. Some guy completely disguised came running in, attacked him. He attacked him first with a chair. He put a chair over his head and then bashed it.
It's the fact that he came back, that he did the job, let the match happen, and then he came back. Whoever did this has got
serious issues with Donnie. So what are your thoughts on what just happened with Ricky Ruckus?
Well, I noticed him on my way in here.
I hope he got out of his way.
I got out of his way. He said he had some choice words. He obviously said his piece, and it sounds like he's on a mission to find out who attacked Donnie.
So, back to the point we were talking about recently, the night after Emerge, at a match in Detroit that Kyle Maverick was wrestling in, from what I understand, he went for a sick kick and caught the canvas in exactly the wrong way, and he fell, and his foot basically cracked in two.
Right.
He told the Emerge offices, he told all of us individually, privately after it happened, because the hope was that he would be ready to go in a couple months. Mm-hmm. Because we don't want, especially with a guy who just won a championship, we don't want to strip champions.
Absolutely not.
And we certainly don't want to do it if they just won the championship. Unfortunately,
it's going to be more than 60 days.
It's going to be a lot more than 60 days. Unfortunately, Kyle Maverick looks like he's going to be out for at least 6 months, and judging by his foot, Kyle's an amazing athlete, but I don't know. That might be another optimistic case. I'm not entirely sure. And it's like individual pockets of chaos broke out at the Emerge offices over the course of the weekend and the week afterwards, where it's Donnie's neck is broken, now Kyle's foot is broken.
A month before that, Chris Caliber gets attacked at the office. It's been a rough
crazy.
several weeks, and I don't like it.
But Chris,
yeah, with that, I unfortunately have to announce that Kyle Maverick has been stripped officially of the Emerge Outbreak Championship.
And stripped makes it sound so harsh, but this was the last thing any of us wanted.
Right. Truth be told, I was willing to go 90 days to give him a chance to defend it, and it's just not going to happen. But with that, a new Outbreak champion will be crowned at Emerge 25 Grave Danger, and we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah, so I guess, guys, we've had so many somber notes here, but I mean, honestly, 25 for a wrestling promotion that started out so embattled,
Yes.
and so looked down upon to make it. Some people said the first event wouldn't even happen, Lurch, but here we are 25 events later, over 2 years.
It's amazing, and hopefully another 50 to 100, 200 more to go.
0.5 turned out pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think so. That being said, right now in the chat, everybody who's watching this, I want you to type down your favorite Emerge memory or your favorite Emerge match of all time. Toward the end of the show, we'll try to read some of them. Definitely a lot of memories here. And a lot of those memories have to do with the Tag Team Championship belts being around the waist of BAD. And that brings us to our first match, our Copies and More Facebook Live match. For those of you that don't know, we, thanks to our friends at Copies and More, now live stream a match on Facebook at 6:30 p.m., 30 minutes before all of our events start. And this... we had an amazing match between Luke and Aaron, and Lurch, you and I called it. I think that was one of the better matches the entire night, let alone being for free.
Absolutely. And thanks again to Copies and More, that Copies and More Facebook Live match. I mean, it was incredible. It was everything, you could expect. And, what we got coming up this month, I mean...
It is even bigger, Lurch.
Absolutely.
Both in size and in stature. I almost said weight, but that's kind of the same thing as
rude.
size.
Yeah.
Gravity,
There
I
you go.
guess.
There you go.
So what is our first official match for Emerge 25?
BAD defends the Emerge Tag Team Championship against the Hellfire Club.
Now, this is an interesting match because as of yet, we don't know which two of the now three active competing members of the Hellfire Club are going to be there, but whichever two they are up for a tough test and BAD. And first things first, I kind of want to talk about which two we might think it'll be, because with Johnny Stratland leaving the group, as we saw at the last show, we're left with Dave Davidson, Kenneth James, and Joey Moore, along with their agent, Christopher Icon. For me, my thought is if you're going to try to defeat BAD, Lurch, I would send in Davidson and James. Two more power guys, two more technically focused guys might be able to chop down the redwoods, as it were.
That's true, but you do have that speed and quickness of Joey Moore. But let's be honest with you, the management, the team restructuring, cutting the dead weight of Johnny Stratland. I mean, brilliant move by Christopher Icon. Brilliant move.
Wow.
Going to see a lot of big changes with the Hellfire Club.
Well, interestingly enough, Lurch, it didn't seem to me so much as them cutting the dead weight, so much as the dead weight cut them.
Well, say what you will. I think Icon had a plan. I think it was all Icon's doing. I mean, he's the mastermind of the Hellfire Club. Let's be real here.
So you're hypothesizing that Christopher Icon, via telepathy, caused Johnny Stratland to turn against them.
That's it. Yeah. Telepathy. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, close. So BAD has been on a roll. Nobody has really come even close, realistically, to beating them for these championships. And all things we can say about the Hellfire Club, a cohesive unit, Chris Lowe. Why was it time for the Hellfire Club to get that shot?
Performance. And I got to say, the advocation of one Christopher Icon, Lurch, you're absolutely right. Icon is very good at what he does. He advocates for his guys. And he made some great points in arguing for this match. And when I talked to BAD about it, they didn't seem to mind the fact that they wouldn't know which two of the three they'd be facing.
And I understand as well that BAD insisted that this match be shown on Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
4 Copies and More, because they want people to be able to see what they do on a wider basis. Of course, Emerge has an amazing social reach, and it's all thanks to you guys, but those matches can get some traffic, and that's what BAD wants, and I think it's one of the reasons that Christopher Icon agreed, because those matches do get some traffic. My question is, I guess, how do you even beat BAD? I mean, we've only really seen the one team ever beat BAD. It was a combination, I guess, of quickness and almost dumb luck. But how, Chris, if you're a competitor, how do you take on these two guys? Because Mike has started to do more athletic stuff than we've ever seen before, and Chris Morris has dropped, I think, like 150 pounds in the last year and a half. He is absolutely jacked. It seems like they're unstoppable.
I agree. Again, just putting on my fan hat, I think the common denominator in any potential of beating BAD is going to be conniving Kenneth James. He's a former champion. He's been in the ring with these guys before. I think his performance, if he is indeed one of the two in the match, will have a big indication as to how it ends up.
And I almost can't believe I'm turning to my right now, but A.W. Lurch, how would you take down BAD?
Well, you have to use your opponent's strengths against them. BAD, they're a bunch of former Yukon lumberjacks. Their opponents have a history of trying to chop down them like big giant oak trees that they are, and attack the legs. If you're listening out there, Hellfire Club, attack the legs, start at the legs, chop down those trees.
Well, I can't disagree. Before we move on to the quote-unquote main show, although we've already gotten to a championship match, I want to take this opportunity to announce, or at least preliminarily announce, something that I've been working on putting together for a while, something that I've been thinking. By no means do we want to belittle or make fun of anything that happens within the squared circle. We are very serious about professional wrestling. But that being said, witching hour is almost upon us, and Halloween is coming up here, and we always value fan interaction at Emerge. There's something that we always want to get the fans involved. That's why we talk to you so much. That's why we do these Facebook live streams. We want you to be involved. And so my thing that I will say here is October 7th, bring all of your kids. Bring all of them, because we're going to be having a Halloween-themed kind of lighthearted costume contest for the kids, and whoever wins this costume contest is going to get a really nice little package. And I'll be real with you, we haven't exactly decided what the prize is going to be, but we've got the Emerge offices chipping in. We're talking to different wrestlers about it. It's a prize that'll definitely be worth your while.
Definitely.
And, for that matter, adults. Shoot, wear your costumes too, even if you're not entered. It might just add a little bit more levity to the night, and with the card that we've got, you definitely won't regret being there. I promise that much, especially considering, Chris, this first match.
Scotty Young versus beautiful Brett Havoc.
Yeah, and, Scotty Young, what an amazing, amazing match Silvio and Wings had at the last show. Kudos, Kamish, on putting that particular one together. Nate Wings did a couple of things that I've never seen in my life, and I've been watching as much wrestling as my body can possibly ingest since I was like 11. So he managed to defeat two world-class talents. And it seems like when we have somebody who's on a roll, Lurch, somebody who is trying to assert himself, the common denominator ends up being Brett Havoc answering the challenge.
Well, you got to give it to Brett Havoc for stepping up to the plate, but I don't know if he can go up against Scotty Young. Scotty Young is one of my favorite new talents here at Emerge. Like you said, he showed what he had at that triple threat match last month. And you're right, Brett Havoc, he has a history of stepping up to the plate, but you got Scotty Young.
Very true. Of course, Brett Havoc answered Dave Davidson's open challenge. Ironically, the last one actually defeated Davidson, albeit under some interesting circumstances. But this is going to be, this is Flash versus Flash. This is, ego versus ego, Flash versus Flash. And I think Scotty is going to take the power game here, but nobody flies through the air like Brett Havoc.
I think Scotty's going to catch that flying Brett Havoc through the air and drop him down on his head, slam him down to the mat for that 1-2-3, Casey. I got Scotty Young all the way in this.
Either way, it's going to be a fantastic match.
Yeah, Chris, why do you put this one together?
Why not? Are you kidding me?
Good point. Good point.
You saw the three-way. You know how good Brett Havoc is. This is one of the easiest matches I've ever made. It's just entertaining.
Yeah, no, it's
Enjoy.
definitely... that's another one of the, even though it's the first match we're announcing on a very loaded card, Chris, this is another one that has the potential to steal the entire night.
And I'm going to tell you what, whoever wins this is going to be in a very nice position for future opportunities.
Yeah, it'd be hard for them not to be in that kind of positioning. So next up, we have, and I don't know if it's pure happenstance or if it's by design, and I'm sure you'll never tell, but we have a lot of School of Rock guys that end up crossing each other in Emerge, and this match, which promises to be another amazing match, is no exception.
Sharpshooter Luke Lawson versus Have Mercy, Percy Davis.
And, Luke is unstoppable. He outlasted the flippy madness of Anarchy, Radrick, and Phillips at Downtown, and then he pretty soundly beat Aaron. Aaron put up a great fight, but he beat Aaron on our Copies and More Facebook Live match at this last show. And Luke Lawson is another one of those guys that, you got to figure out how to take him down, Lurch, because he has the power game, but he can also fly a little bit, and he's got that, for lack of a better term, ruthless aggression.
Mm-hmm. Percy Davis he's gonna have to dodge the kill shot, is what we saw on the Copies and More Facebook Live match. Luke Lawson took Aaron Anarchy down with the kill shot. Percy
and he can hit
that
from anywhere, too, so that's really difficult to avoid. But, Aaron had him in pretty good position. If he was able to roll through that, then perhaps we would be telling a different story right now.
Percy, when you're getting out of your limo, when you get to Emerge 25, watch out for the kill shot. Look around when you step out, watch out for the kill shot. Luke Lawson is an assassin.
Does he have a limo?
Oh, he has a limo, yeah. The last show you didn't see him get into the limo on the way out. Yeah, he left in a limo.
I did
last
not.
time. Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I was busy in the back. I didn't see it.
Well, fans, I guess if you show up a little bit early, you might see Percy Davis's limo. Maybe even take a few pictures with it. Hashtag Have Mercy.
Have Mercy.
Hashtag Emerge. This is going to be a really interesting match because Percy, at the last time that he was around was when he took the opportunity to defeat then Diablo Loco, who later in the night unmasked, kicked Karma in the face, revealed himself as Joey Moore, and Percy's an interesting dude. He's an all-around, though, just entertaining and likable guy. It's like, I don't know, sometimes he enters and he has a little bit of an attitude, but, sometimes he enters, I think it kind of depends on what mood he's in that day, but either way, I've always found Percy to be a pretty likable guy, Chris.
Yeah, he's very, very laid back, very intelligent, well-spoken, but do you remember watching Ken Shamrock back in the day?
Yes.
He gets into the zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way I think I can put it.
Yeah, of course. Percy's got that that boxing background, and we're in a situation where Luke Lawson goes for the kill shot. Percy catches him with a right hand. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that Luke Lawson has a glass jaw, although he might, but one right hook from an experienced boxer will take out pretty much anybody. So
I hope Percy does it. I want to go out riding around Columbus in that limo with him. That's all I know. I hope Percy does it.
I highly doubt Percy will let you in his limo.
You don't know the people who have let me in their limos, Casey. Let's not even go there.
He's
Come on
A.W.
now.
Lurch. He
Yeah,
does what he
absolutely.
wants.
You're right. Thank you, Commish.
Even make up stories about limos.
No.
All right, well, next, a situation that,
It's just
honestly,
hard to talk about.
Yeah, every month this just gets harder and harder to watch. The classic thing when you're trying to get your wife or your girlfriend into wrestling is, oh, it's just like a soap opera. Everybody has personal issues, and then they fight. And this is getting very, very quickly into guiding light territory. Couple of days ago, a video releases in which Nikki Mariani, she threw her ring, and it seems like she has left JD.
Man, it's about time.
Oh, for God's
Really?
sakes, Lurch.
Well, come on. It's finally about time that Nikki Mariani used her brain, saw who the more dominant of the two battle beasts were, and made her choice.
Okay, but there's a difference between business and personal life. Do you not have a soul? Did
Their
you not
family
see,
is falling apart.
Did you not see JD's face when that ring hit the ground?
Look, like you said,
Dude.
you have to separate your business and your personal life, and Nikki made a good choice.
While it is hard to argue that there's a possibility that, from a business perspective, severing business ties with JD and keeping and strengthening those business ties with the young buck of Jacob Johns is a good idea still. This is...
Lurch, you're hardcore.
Well, I call it like it is. There's plenty of people watching at home thinking the same thing. And
I'm positive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good for JD. He'll get some time to think about everything. Think about.
I need to
life.
send you to Asheville again.
So, last show, Jacob Johns soundly defeats Justin Myers. Although, Justin Myers...
Kid's got moxie. Good night.
We released a video on the Emerge Facebook page. I think it might have been yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you want, Justin Myers to get another shot? Chris, I will tell you now, Justin Myers needs another shot in Emerge. The way, Jake went for the his version, I guess, of the Rolling Thunder, that little dig at JD, which could speak volumes, and all in one motion, Lurch, Justin rolled out of the way and drop kicked Jake.
No, you got to give credit to him. That was an interesting move. If he wasn't going up against Jacob Johns in that match, you definitely would have thought Justin Myers was gonna take it. But
Jacob Johns did end up with the defeat, with that W, another check mark in the win column, and JD came to the ring and they had to be pulled apart again. And it was an interesting moment, I think, and it spoke volumes, as I don't think JD, over this entire situation, Chris, has realized that he's been gaining the fans' support little by little.
I think you're exactly right, and more to the point, I don't think he cares right now. He's worried about his family.
I think, though, for a little bit of time, for just a moment, it hit him, the groundswell of fan support that he's starting to receive as Jacob was being taken away and everybody started chanting for JD, and JD had this moment where he just looked out And I think it kind of hit him all at once that he's quickly becoming a fan favorite, and there's a lot of reasoning for that. I mean, JD, like former two-time Emerge champion, the only two-time champion in the company's history, one of the most dominant forces Emerge has ever seen.
And I want to touch on something just briefly. You talked about when Jacob was being taken away. Here's what concerns me. Jacob left the ringside area because I begged Nikki to take him away. But there was just a brief flash in Jacob's eyes where whatever Nikki was telling him wasn't registering. He was going to go back to that ring. And I'm telling Nikki, if you're not going to be able to keep control of the man, I urge you to be very, very careful.
So Jacob Johns will be receiving another opponent that is wanting to test his skill against the Beast. And, you know, every month it seems like somebody with something to prove goes up against Jacob Johns, and this time it's no different.
Absolutely. Johnny Justice steps up to the plate this time around.
And Johnny Justice won a match in our pre-show just a few months ago, and got his shot at Downtown Throwdown. Didn't work out well against Trevor Court. Is this another situation where you have to go for the legs, Lurch?
Well, he's going up against a monster. He's going to want a game plan, that's for sure. Johnny Justice, I'm sure, has thought this out. I'm sure he strategized what he's going to do. But regardless, you're going against the Midwest monster, Jacob Johns.
That being said, though, Johnny Justice is a law enforcement official, and one of the first things that you're taught is how to bring down even the biggest of guys, because, you know, a lot of times if you're a police officer, the people you're going to be going up against are, I mean, not every police officer is the big boss man.
Right.
You know, a lot of them are going to be a lot bigger than you. You've got to know how to take them down. So I think that's one place where Johnny Justice has a shot. But either way, this situation with Jacob Johns and Nikki is
difficult.
One side of it is difficult. The other side of it is like bag of popcorn.
Oh, dude.
Just what's going to happen next. And I know it's hard for you to look at it like that since you're the one in charge of corralling these beasts, these battle beasts, as
well
it
said.
were. Either way, though, I think Jacob Johns takes the edge, but I think Johnny Justice will put up a better fight than a lot of people think he will, bottom line. Next, we have a match, Chris, that, you know, a lot of these matches on this card are happening because of what's happening personally between the competitors, but there are a few matches on here, most notably Scotty and Brett, Luke and Percy, and this match that it's a popcorn match.
Right.
It is something that you want to take a look at. Kudos on putting this one on the card.
The greatest show on earth, Trevor Court up against Warfare, Jeremy Hadley.
These are two top contenders, and they will be going at it. And it's interesting because both of them have a high-flying element to their game. Even as big of a guy as Trevor Court has deceptive athleticism, but they each have an X factor, I think. For Trevor Court, the X factor is his power game. For Jeremy Hadley, it's technical acumen, and I guess if he had a minor X factor, it would be his ability to get in people's heads. What are you thinking as far as this match goes, Lurch?
Well, what you just said there, Jeremy Hadley is going to try to get into the head of Trevor Court. Trevor Court, I'm telling you right now, try to stay focused. Don't let Hadley get the psychological edge on you, because Trevor Court is an athlete, and Trevor Court, I got winning this match. He is one of the top talents in Emerge right now, and, you know, so is Hadley, like you said, but Trevor Court, man, as long as he doesn't let that psychological edge slip.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor is pretty good at mind games of his own, and specifically using the ring to his advantage. Trevor used incredibly underhanded tactics, to defeat Mark Vandy at the last show in a match that I thought Mark Vandy was going to win that match. I think, Lurch, you thought, even where you were sitting, Mark Vandy was going to win that match. Like, really thought. And Trevor managed to roll him up out of nowhere. Chris, as a commissioner, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, but as a commissioner, how much do you fight to cull these underhanded tactics to try to prevent them, or do you just let it sit in the ring?
There's only so much you can do. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but my philosophy is to never undermine Emerge officials. If they don't see it, it didn't happen. That said, guys who don't win the right way, they might be further down the line for title shots. You're right. A win is a win is a win, but how you win is just as important in Emerge.
So Jeremy Hadley got what seems to be his ultimate comeuppance on the Hellfire Club, although judging by a video released a few days ago, I'm not sure that issue is completely over with yet, but you got to figure Hadley's looking for championship gold, and we know Trevor's looking for championship gold. So whoever wins this match has got to be in pretty serious title contention at this point.
I will tell you that's a very safe assumption to make.
And for people, Jeremy Hadley has a tendency to come off a little bit unhinged, but that guy knows exactly what he's doing, and it's going to be really interesting to see him, Warfare, take on the greatest show on earth. It's Power versus Flash, Attitude versus Warfare. It's going to be an interesting one, Lurch.
And hopefully I'll have a cherry Coke to enjoy the match with. I got Trevor Court going all the way. Hadley's been on a rush. He's been on a run, getting the 3 counts left and right. But Trevor Court is going to put a stop to that October 7th.
Well, speaking of putting a stop to things, the tag team of Pretty Perfect has ground to a halt. It was an interesting situation, Lurch, because, Jordan Cage hops off the apron when ATM's going for the tag and leaves him to be fed to the wolves, or to the bulls, I guess, in BAD. And we thought that was the situation as it sat. We put down our headsets. We got ready to walk away, but Jordan Cage had different plans.
And remind me of that. I forgot.
Chris, remind us of that.
Just before intermission, Jordan Cage just decked ATM.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
Well, and ATM got what was coming for him. If you ask me, like I said before that, he was distracted. Obviously, I was distracted in that moment. And that's what happens when you get distracted. You look like you know what.
Just say that Christopher Icon is messing with you via telepathy right
exactly,
now. That's exactly how that's working out.
That's exactly what it was.
But no, so ATM was laid out by Jordan
Yes.
Cage, left humiliated in the ring, and with ATM, then the next step, as we saw a few days ago on Facebook.com/Emerge Wrestling, where you're watching this live stream right now. Hit that like button. Where we saw him come into your office, and I think you're right in saying you really do need a secretary.
Yeah, no joke. If you're it, forget it. But yeah, ATM came in shortly after being laid out, and demanded a shot at Jordan Cage, and who am I to say no?
Yeah, and, ATM, speaking of which, if you want a secretary, I think I actually know somebody. Her name's Monica. You'll love her. So, ATM, though, in Pretty Perfect, it seems like ATM was always the second guy in Pretty Perfect. I mean, Jordan Cage had all of the big moments, and ATM, it seemed like, was just there a lot of times to do the dirty work. What do you think ATM's going to be like on his own, Lurch?
Oh, he is ready to break out. It's obviously, ATM is he stormed into the office. He has his sights set. I mean, you really got to ask who has the edge, what's going to happen next. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a fight.
ATM is desperate to prove himself, and not only that, he's got fan support behind him now. Again, as he was leaving, fans chanting his name while they were on their way to buy their hot dog at the Emerge concessions. Jordan Cage, we haven't seen him in singles action for quite some time, but let's not forget, former number one contender to the Emerge Championship. As a matter of fact, this show, the October show, 2 years ago, would have been his title shot against Donnie Idol. He ended up coming up short. That's one special to me. That was my first Emerge that I was ever at. I was running the ringside camera. And they put on an amazing match. Jordan Cage put up quite a fight. That being said, though, ATM did some pretty good singles stuff before he joined up with Jordan Cage, and at one point was in the Outbreak title picture, had that legendary four-way that we still talk about to this day. And I think it's going to be something where you're going to see a lot of heated exchanges between these guys. You are going to see a lot of strikes, but when it comes down to it, both of these guys are your classic Memphis technical wrestlers, and it's going to be one for the ages, I think.
And it has been noted that Jordan Cage did send a memo to the offices. He did want the fans to know, stop calling him Princess.
You heard it here. Stop calling Jordan Cage Princess.
Please stop.
He wears the shirt that says, "Don't call me a princess" and everything. So obviously, you're supposed to stop calling him a princess. This next match, which is our semi-main event, was actually just announced about 30 minutes before we went live. And so, Chris, I want you to run down what happened between you and Norris after his match against Apollo at the last show.
Okay, well, we all know that Apollo Star was successful in defeating Lennox Norris in their first match. It was ostensibly a friendly match just to see who the better man was. Lennox demanded a rematch, which he was certainly entitled to. He got that match.
After refusing to even shake the hand of Apollo after the first match.
True. But, tempers get heated. I understand that. Second match rolls around, and Lennox is victorious, albeit by some underhanded tactics. As Lennox was leaving that night, I asked him, about his mindset. He specifically said, "I don't care." He doesn't care.
I don't care. I won.
Right.
And you were trying to set the rematch actually for October 2nd, but Lennox doesn't really seem to care about going up against Apollo again.
Right. But there will be a rubber match, and it will be for the vacant Emerge Outbreak Championship.
Really?
Yes.
Why did you put the Outbreak Championship on this match in particular?
Because
a lot of good matches on the card it could have gone to.
Because Lennox has been talking a lot about wanting an opportunity, and he truly believes he can beat Poison Apollo Star one-on-one. I want to see if he can do it in a fair fight, and I want to see who the better man is. And whoever the better man is worthy of being Outbreak Champion.
And this is finally what Lennox deserves, a shot at the Outbreak Championship. I mean, props to you, Commish, for that. Lennox Norris deserves this shot, and he is going to walk away the new Outbreak Champion.
Well, I guess it would be said that most likely Lennox Norris is going to care now that he realizes that he, as the bronzed one, will be going up for gold against a man who, former Emerge champion in Apollo Star, and he almost had it again back in January. So Apollo is only content when he's carrying something big and gold either around his waist or in his hand. Mm-hmm. And he's had a history of doing that in Emerge. E8 tournament champion back in last January, in the truncated one. then he won the big one. He won it all. And there's only so much that Apollo hasn't done in Emerge. And I think after doing so much, Apollo wants to be the first person to win all the gold that's available to him in Emerge.
And he's certainly capable of doing it.
Yes. So this match, from a competitive perspective, the first one was very technically sound. The second one was kind of technically sound, but kind of turned into a little bit of a brawl. Lurch, what do you expect to see from this one?
Oh, classic rubber match, like you said. It's 1-1. Lennox Norris is just coming off the victory. I think he's going to start off strong. I think he's going to pull it off and sweep him.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see, because you could feel like the two of them wanted to involve more strikes, Chris, than they did. But, the way that they were trained is, grappling, especially, Apollo Star studies that European catch-as-catch-can style. And so I think you're going to see a lot more grappling than you would expect out of this. But don't get me wrong, both of them are going to get their shots in. And as
I gotta say, as the fan in me remembers Downtown Throwdown and just watching that match in particular from ringside, and it was a thing of beauty. And
I was in awe.
Yeah, and a good reason for me making this a title match was because I want there to be the incentive to have a match just like that. And what else could you ask for?
Yeah, both men are definitely going to bring their best, and as just announced, it will be for the Outbreak Championship. I would caution whoever it is, though, that wins this, if you're still holding that thing in 6-7 months when Kyle Maverick is ready to go, you're going to be on his list, and he's going to be, well, we saw the last time he came back from an injury, and it involved almost and potentially ending Donnie Idol's career. So I would caution you to watch out, because eventually Kyle's going to want his shot back. Speaking, though, of the end, speaking of the culmination, the, as it were, payoff that was supposed to happen last month as our main event, it is happening this month as our main event, and one of these guys is going to be buried in our main event. Zodiac versus Chris Caliber one more time for the Emerge Championship in a casket match. And we're actually waiting now on a call from Chris Caliber. Chris is going to give us an update on his health because, Chris, you said it before, you don't want anybody going in injured again.
Right. This is too good of a match, and both Zodiac and Chris Caliber are too talented of individuals to not go at each other at 100%.
I guess we can kind of get to the match a little bit while we're waiting on the call. These two guys, I'm glad it's a casket match because they have the potential to kill each other in this one. The first time Chris came out of it with some injuries and has some injuries now. Let's see.
Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Chris Caliber, what's up, brother?
Not a whole lot. How you guys doing?
Doing fairly well. I'm not going to disrespect you by not cutting to the chase here. How's your knee?
It's doing well. Doing a lot better than I expected, honestly.
So we're assuming you're going to be ready to go, and most importantly, medically cleared on October 7th, because if you're not medically cleared, I think this is a bad month to get on Chris Lowe's bad side.
I'm not afraid to get on people's bad side, but I guarantee you I will be 100% cleared, ready to go October 7th.
Good to hear.
So, obviously, this got a little bit heated at the last show, and for people who weren't there and haven't seen the video on Facebook, can you explain what the situation has been with Zodiac?
the wrestling business. We sell things at wrestling events in the middle of the ring. The guy came to my home and filmed us without our knowledge. We had no idea he's following us. So, it's gone beyond just a regular wrestling match. It's gone beyond just a casket match that he wants. It's gone beyond just having the Emerge heavyweight title. This is personal now. This is absolutely personal.
Well, I would be remiss not to, at least from a sports perspective, ask what is, and I got a feeling I know the answer, but what is your game plan on taking Zodiac down? Because you're going to need something that's going to keep Zodiac down. We all know if he hits that horoscope, hits the heart punch, that it's going to be pretty easy to load just about anybody into a casket. How do you get him into the casket?
You guys seen it at Downtown Throwdown. I hit him with my straight-edge sit-out power driver, and I roll him in a casket. I beat him at Downtown Throwdown with that. I can put the monster Zodiac away.
But can you contest with Jason Saint, ringside, Zodiac's manager, as you know, has a manager's license? Can you contest with that as well? That's the question.
Absolutely I can. You know that I come out there and I got Karma right by my side. So Jason Saint tries to get involved. Jason Saint has to deal with Karma. My focus is Zodiac.
And how, I know I've asked you this question before, but especially since things have gotten so personal, how do you keep your mind focused on Zodiac, on the competitor of Zodiac, when so many things have happened personally? And to be fair, Zodiac is really good at getting in people's heads.
No, I take nothing away from Zodiac. He is a master at mind games. He absolutely is. The video that aired in the middle of my interview time at the last event, absolutely. To say it didn't bother me, to say that it didn't get in my head a bit, that'd be crazy. I'd be lying to you. But my focus is simply to end Zodiac, end his title reign, take away what he values the most. He wants to get into my personal space. He wants to follow my family. You come to my home and film these things, it's too far. There's one option, and it's to put the monster down.
How hard is it dealing with the fact that your wife is in the middle of all this?
It's nothing new in the wrestling business. People take what they think is the easy way to get to me. But what people don't realize is she can handle her own. She don't need me to fight her battles. It doesn't matter who it's against. But she's still my wife. As much as she can fight, as much as she can take out anybody you put her against, that's my wife. That's my family. I'm going to end anybody that tries to go after that.
So I guess to close us out, Mr. Caliber, what can we expect to see on October the 7th at Emerge 25?
You will see violence. You will see a fight. And you will see a new Emerge heavyweight champion.
Very, very succinctly and well said. Thank you for your time, Chris. Well, if there's one thing that you can hear, folks, that would make you excited for a match like that, that would be it.
He sounds very determined.
Determined is exactly the way that I would put it. Lurch, after hearing all that, you thinking Caliber might pull it off?
It's going to be, he's got a tough uphill climb. Zodiac is a monster. He has his arms grasped around that Emerge Championship belt, and he is not letting go. And all I got to say is, Caliber, you might want to have your neighbors start, looking out their windows this week, because things might get a little nasty. Just thinking about that out loud.
Yeah. I mean, for real, it's unabashed. They make no qualms about it. Power versus power. Brutal hit against brutal hit. For all intents and purposes, their previous encounters have really, I think, been reminiscent of that Japanese strong style. Strikes, strikes, strikes. And when the goal of the match is to put somebody in a casket and close the door, that's how you become the Emerge champion. You put somebody in a casket and you close the door. When it comes down to it, you're going to need strikes to be on your side. And I think Zodiac has been as dominant as anybody has been in Emerge, period. But for whatever reason, Caliber has continually shown again and again that he can topple the beast. So, Chris, it's going to be probably the most hard-fought main event we have ever had in Emerge history, both in determination and in strikes.
Yeah, pound for pound and power for power, you're not going to get any tougher than these two individuals.
And that, folks, is our card for Emerge 25. 25 emerges, Chris. Grave Danger. On our Copies and More Facebook Live match, BAD will defend their tag championships against the Hellfire Club. We're going to have a costume contest for the kids, but somebody who has been hiding behind a costume, Chris, will be called out because Ricky Ruckus has said he is going to be there, and whoever attacked Donnie, he's calling him out in the ring. This might be our only chance to figure out who this guy is, so I hope, again, part of me hopes he shows up, part of me doesn't, but that's a topic for a different day.
Yeah.
Scotty Young versus Brett Havoc. Luke Lawson, Percy Davis, Jacob Johns, Johnny Justice, Trevor Court, Jeremy Hadley, Jordan Cage versus Austin Tyler Morris, Lennox Norris versus Apollo Star, Zodiac versus Chris Caliber, the last two being championship matches. And for me, for Lurch, I would dare say there's nothing more to say. So I'll leave it to you, Mr. Chris Lowe.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Lurch. Well, folks, this will be 25 events, just over 2 years doing this. Emerge 25, Grave Danger, emanates Saturday, October 7th from Parkside Elementary in Columbus, Indiana. We're kicking things off with a title match in our Copies and More pre-show. We're going to end the night with 2 title matches. It's going to be a great night of action, and we hope to see you there.